My name is Sean. I'm here at ColDesi, and today's Tech Talk is basically basic and advanced. Let's see, questions that you can do with the software. All right, Naomi, make sure your speakers are turned up. I just turned on my mic, so you might have sound now. I did have my mic turned off. All good now? Good, good. So today's Tech Talk will be on basic and advanced things you can do with the software. Let's see, let me go ahead and minimize my screen so I can see everything. And right there. All right, let's see our first question. When stacking designs, show how to remove the lower layer of stitches. Okay, so basically what we're going to do here is let's see if we can open up some designs. This is good if you are combining designs and you want to delete the lower layer. Let's see here. Design library. Let's go see. Let's go users. I'm gonna find some designs here. If not, I will create some real quick. I know I've got the face. Could open up this face, and this is really cool. This one I had done using the Art to Stitch, and that is basically just taking an image off of Google Images, loading it into the software, making it the size I want, and then coming up to the embroidery and choosing Art to Stitch. And when the next window that appears here, it'll say Photo Stitch, and then it looks at it as a fill section and creates it almost like a cross stitch pattern. So if you go to View and we look at the simulation, you can kind of see it's really thick here. Then it runs into a single digitized line, a little bit thicker, and then it gets really close stitching here to get the effect of a photo stitch. So it's a cool feature. It's a cool tool. If you get a chance, just check it out. Just play with it. We do a video on how to do the photo stitch if you are interested. Let's just see. Let's just go ahead and create an area for fill patterns. We'll go ahead and fill that, and then we'll play. Basically, if you've got stitches on top of each other, and there's a layer that you want to remove, the easiest way to remove layers underneath each other, it's sometimes hard to select certain layers that are underneath that keeps grabbing the one on top. The best way to do it is open up your object manager. This will break down each individual section, whether it's something you created or it's something that was a stock design. If it was a stock design, you'll actually see it'll be called stitch packs. And you simply just highlight the one you want, go to the screen, right-click, and then delete object. And it will delete that particular object. So if you've got two designs you've merged and you want to delete certain things underneath it, that's the best way to do it. If it is a a DST design, two stock designs that you're merging, and you want to go in and delete certain stitches underneath, it's a little more time consuming. I will go ahead and save this as a DST so that we can load it back up and I can show you. We'll do this as a test. I'll save it to the desktop. All right. If you ever do get this coming up, let me explain this first. It's basically saying your needles are not continuous. Do you want to fix it? And basically what that's saying is you did not follow the pattern of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 when you created your design. You skipped around and you might have gone, 4, 1, 7, 2, 3, 5. If you say yes, what the computer's going to do, it's going to take all your colors and push them up to where they go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whenever you save something as a DST and you do see this pop up, I always say no. I did it a certain way because that's the way I wanted it. Those are the colors I wanted. I don't want you to fix it, so say no. All right, we'll go ahead and I will close this design down, and I will open up the DST we just saved. Go to our desktop and do test. There's our test design. So what we've got here is we've got the blue and the black. And the reason you're seeing no stitches here is because this satin stitch is too wide to be sewn. So your embroidery machine will not sew the stitch that wide. Underneath here, if you click on a stitch, because it's a DST expanded design, everything is individual. So it's individual stitches. So if you want to go ahead and delete these black stitches underneath this section, simply highlight a stitch and then start hitting the delete button until you delete those sections underneath. So it's very time consuming. But it is possible for you to go through and actually delete individual sections. We can actually come over here, we can turn that blue color off. Outline a section. We come in here and we can delete it that way as well. So there's you know, if you've got just a couple of stitches you want to delete, it's best just go ahead and just select that stitch, hit your delete button. You can use your arrow keys on the keyboard to traverse forward or backward through the stitches, and then just hit your delete button to delete those individual stitches. If it's a block or a group of stitches, it's best to go ahead and come up here to your outline and simply just left click manually, placing a obscured outline around the area, and then simply just right click and then delete that particular section out. You know, once again, it's just simply just left clicking, finding the area you want to delete, and you'll see it highlighted by a shadow, and then enter to close it, and then you will right click and you'll delete that little section of that little line out. So there's two ways you can delete stitches underneath other stitches in designs. Any questions on that? And not sure if everybody knows, but if you right click, you're welcome. If you right click on the color bar on the left hand side on the colors you've already used, it will turn those colors off, kind of like a toggle switch. And then right click to turn them back on. I'll go ahead and get rid of that design. Basically, whenever you're editing designs and you open up a DST stock design that you've gotten from somewhere, when you open it up to your screen, you'll notice you're going to go into the Stitch Editing tab at the top, and you get different functions up here. In here, we can actually go through and highlight a particular stitch, come up here to Insert,